Okay, so for those of you who don't know me personally, I am a massive monster truck fan. Have been since I was a kid. My dad first introduced me to monster trucks in, like, 2007 when he showed me some of his old die-casts that he had as a kid, and I've been hooked ever since. And naturally, being such an avid monster truck enthusiast, you make a lot of friends who are also avid monster truck enthusiasts. And I use that term pretty firmly here, because we aren't just fans of the sport, we follow it. We keep up to date with all the different tours, all the drivers, we pay attention to who's driving what trucks, what their stats are, what they did at their most recent events. We are all over it. So, when Hot Wheels announced that they were going to be doing their very first Monster Truck Stadium tour, well, we just couldn't resist. I rounded up all of my friends and we drove like 7 hours into Boise, Idaho to check out this show. And today, I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on it. Now, before we get too far into this, I should explain that this video is kind of doubling up as a sort of show review / vlog. So if you're just here for my review of the event, you can go ahead and skip to this timestamp. Otherwise, you can stay right where you are and enjoy the rest of the video. That is a boat. Oh, I was recording! So first of all, road tripping through the Pacific Northwest. Frickin' beautiful, man. If you ever get the chance to drive across the Pacific Northwest, please take it. The scenery we saw was breathtaking, and it was constantly changing. We saw waterfalls, limestone cliffs, rolling deserts, pine forests. I mean, there wasn't a type of scenery, except maybe snow, that we didn't see out there. There's also somebody else at this gas station I'd like to introduce you to. Look who it is. Look who it is. Look who it is! It's the Trash Panda! Figuring out how this foreign gas station works, it's not a Washington one, it's an Oregon one!
I was kind of surprised, like, don't tell the cops that I'm filling up my own tank, by the way, just...
It's not illegal. Yet.
I like how you wander around the corner, whereas I was talking about soaking, by the way.
We arrived in the capital city of Idaho about 7 hours after we got on the road, and we got this little Airbnb that was right in the middle of the city. It was pretty much walking distance from the stadium, though we didn't walk to the stadium on any of the days that we were there. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it! The only weird quirk about it is that for whatever reason, the air conditioning was not working on the second floor. None of us could figure out why, and we just kind of put up with it. Alright boys, here we go. First impressions. Welcome to our little pad for the weekend. Let's go explore this house, man. Downstairs bathroom. Massive living room, which looks pretty nice. Kitchen area that overlooks the living room, so we can serve up drinks while watching Hot Wheels or something. A dining room in here, as you can see, with a beautiful chandelier. And this appears to be some kind of prep room. Not sure what, a mud room, I think is what you call this. And let's go check out the upstairs. What do we got? Quite a handful of bedrooms. Here is one master. Here is a bunk bedroom. Right, here's another. Okay, it's good. And guys, look at the size of this backyard. It's huge. Hold on, I gotta get a look at this. Did you hear what he said? I didn't hear a damn thing. Although easily my favorite feature about this place was the pool table, or billiards table, depending on what you prefer to call it, that was in the basement of the house. I found a mysterious staircase. Ooh, it's cold down here.
I'm a super big fan.
Oh, there's a pool table! Holy shit! I spent way too much time on that thing. Oh! And nails the shot. Cinematic shot of Zen walking up to a Chili's. On the first night that we were there, we had dinner at a Chili's, which was really convenient for us because this establishment was right across the street from Albertson Stadium, the venue that was hosting this event. So, when we were done with dinner, we walked over there to see if we could get a couple of sneak peeks. And man, the Hot Wheels staff are so incredibly friendly. because they saw us sort of snooping around behind the stadium, and they invited us over to get closer to the pit area. We ended up meeting a couple of the crew guys who talked to us about what their plan was for the weekend and about some of the trucks, and it was really cool. But obviously, that's kind of a rare experience. Most people are not snooping around a stadium the night before an event to see if they can get a sneak peek. That's just how big of a nerd fest our group was. So I'm not going to factor that into my overall score of the show. I just thought that was a really cool thing that happened to us, and I wanted to share it. But look, track, and some men. Oh, and an RV. That's very exciting. Hey, they finally caught up. One of the many perks to this Airbnb is that it had a massive backyard, which for us was great because in addition to being avid monster truck fans, we also have our own monster truck RCs. Now, this is going to become a focus for a future video of mine. Not going to get too deep into this one, but all I will say is that a couple of us brought some custom RC monster truck bodies that were replicates, or duplicates rather, of some of the Hot Wheels trucks. And the morning of the event, we put on our own little RC show exhibition thing in the backyard featuring those trucks, and we used these tin baking trays that we wrapped in party tablecloth, and we used those as crush cars, which was pretty genius. We drove to an Albertsons that morning to pick those up, and then we brought them to the Airbnb, wrapped them up, set them out in the yard, and we did our own RC show. That was a lot of fun. I was not driving, needless to say, which thankfully, because I probably would have broken something if I was. Oh, nice! 2, 1, go! And Aiden binned it. 2, 1, go! Oh, trouble! Your winner, Michael Thomas! And the clock has started. Whoa! Oh! And the clock has started with some great air. Whoa! Get it over. Oh, nice. Oh, what a save. Good job, Aiden. Oh! And that's time. No, he's got it. He's got it. No, he doesn't. Whoa! I can't believe he landed that. And that's time. Flipper. You want me to grab it? Okay, so the show itself, pre-show, which is basically Hot Wheels' equivalent of Pit Party, if you will, you know, where you get to walk up close to the trucks, meet the drivers, get autographs, all that fun stuff. I thought this was pretty well organized. The trucks were competing in teams, which is something I'll get into in a couple of minutes. But because they were in teams, they had all of the duplicate trucks parked next to each other, so you weren't waiting in 500,000 different lines to meet all the different drivers. Myself and some of the guys thought that was really smart decision, really convenient, so definitely some points for that one. And we, of course, had all of the drivers take a look at some of our custom RC bodies, and they got signed, which obviously was really cool. And upon walking into the stadium, we got our first look at this track that the Hot Wheels team put together, which is unlike any other track that the Hot Wheels Tour does, because they are used to running in arenas exclusively, and they have a very specific setup that they stick to for every single arena show, just for the sake of practicality, logistics, and all that fun business stuff. But when it came to this event, they really wanted to make it a special one, and they really went above and beyond to create a track that was different, using dirt, which was a big positive point. Hot Wheels usually doesn't use dirt at their events for logistical reasons. And the track reminded me a lot of early 2000s Monster Jam setups. It wasn't anything crazy. You had a single dirt hill in the center of the track, and then a couple of van stacks on either side, and then some rows of crush cars. Nothing crazy, but it was very old school. Reminded a lot of us of that early 2000s Monster Jam era. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was the first Hot Wheels event that used pyrotechnics, and they used the heck out of them. They went wild with the pyrotechnics, especially during opening ceremonies. They were firing them off like crazy, and we really enjoyed that. As for the actual competition aspect, they did 3 competitions, racing, donuts, and freestyle, all of which were sort of set up as team competitions. And the way this team competition aspect worked is trucks were competing for points in order to win something called the Champions Cup, which is sort of Hot Wheels' equivalent of an overall event champion. When it came down to racing, all of the team trucks would face each other in the first round, and that would decide who would get to move on to the next round to face off another truck from another team. So, in the case of Tiger Shark, I think it was Kyle Sizemore who ended up beating Mike Mentor in that race, and he went on to face against one of the Rhino Knights, I think. I'm kind of just going off of memory here, but that's essentially how it went. And by the end of the racing bracket, you had one team that made it all the way to the end of the bracket, which in this case was Team Megarex. And as a result, they ended up earning the most amount of points in the racing competition. You get the idea. Donuts was dual donuts, so again, the trucks would hit the track in teams, and they would do donuts simultaneously. So it was all of the 5 alarms. It was both of the 5 alarms doing donuts simultaneously, both of the Bigfoots doing donuts simultaneously. You get the idea. And they would get one score for both trucks. It was sort of a team effort in that case. And again, whoever got the highest score would end up winning that competition. They got the most points out of everybody else. That would be added to the total that they got from the racing competition. I think this is starting to make sense. I won't know until I start editing this video, but you know. After donuts, they did a couple of side acts. They did 3 side acts before we got into freestyle. First, they brought out these sort of transforming robot dinosaurs who tag-teamed the destruction of a junk car. Now, these robot dinosaurs are at every Hot Wheels event, but there's only one of them per show. As far as I know, this is the only Hot Wheels event that had both of them there, and they sort of took it in turns to destroy this junk car, which we all thought was pretty cool. And then they brought out these FMX bikes, which again is a normal part of a typical Hot Wheels show, but there were 2 sets of FMX bikes, and they did these dual tricks. Sort of, you had dual trains, dual front flips, dual back flips. It was really cool, actually, not gonna lie. And then for the final side act, they had a couple of trucks come out and attempt stoppy/moonwalks. I think they were trying to do moonwalks, which is where you get the truck up onto the 2 front wheels, and then you drive it along on those front 2 wheels. But neither of them could really get it. I'm not sure if that was just because of the unfamiliar track conditions. Again, Hot Wheels usually doesn't use dirt, or if it was just because the drivers weren't as experienced at doing those as some of the Monster Jam drivers. In any case, both of them were able to get onto the 2 front wheels, and it was still moderately impressive. And if you ask me, freestyle was the most interesting part of this whole entire event. Like the other 2 competitions with the monster trucks, it was a team competition. So you had dual freestyles, as you did with dual donuts. The 2 team trucks would freestyle on the track simultaneously, which is not something I've ever seen done before at a previous monster truck show of any kind. And I will say, speaking as a videographer, it did make filming freestyle a lot more challenging, because I was trying to pick which truck to focus on while there were 2 of them going simultaneously. So I sort of had to cherry pick which jumps I wanted to get on video. And it took me a while to sort of think about why this worked so well. Because on paper, having dual freestyles doesn't seem like that fair from a competition standpoint, because how do you score that? Traditionally in freestyle, at every other monster truck tour, you would have one truck do their freestyle run one at a time. And so this was definitely something totally new, both for Hot Wheels, myself, and the industry, as far as I know. But I think it worked extremely well, because I'm gonna be honest, these Hot Wheels trucks were not tuned. They didn't look like they were tuned for a big floor space like this, especially in racing. They really just weren't getting up to speed, and it sounded like they were sort of reaching the top of their rev range when they weren't going that fast. So I'm not sure if these trucks were actually tuned to be on a floor this big. That's probably true. It was also a combination of just driver experience. All of these drivers have been running in these small arenas for like the last 5 years, so now that to give them a floor space that's like 4 or 5 times that size, they were still probably adjusting to that as well. And because of those two I think Hot Wheels knew those two things going into this event, which is part of the reason why the dual freestyle was so entertaining, because I think if it was just one truck freestyling at a time, I think it would have been pretty boring, not gonna lie. But having 2 trucks freestyle simultaneously, it definitely increased the entertainment value by a lot. So I do think that was a really good decision looking back on it. Highlight of the night for the freestyle competition was definitely Joe Cypher in one of the 5 alarms who hit the center dirt pile from the side, stood the truck right on the tailgate, and then it just fell over, which by no means was the most spectacular crash I've ever seen, especially by Monster Jam standards, but compared to the standards of Hot Wheels and what we're used to seeing from a Hot Wheels event, it was pretty epic. Not gonna lie, I mean, as I'm sure you could tell by the sounds of our reactions.
Oh, Joe!
And also watching the Mega X trucks just demolish that RV, that was another really cool moment, because you don't really see RVs at monster truck shows anymore. They're a pretty rare obstacle these days. So to see an RV getting smashed to pieces by a monster truck in 2026, especially in a sold-out stadium, that was really cool to see. And then to end off the night, they had the Snake Bite truck, which was there on its own, come out and do an encore freestyle. And then you had the Boise exclusive Smash Tin Jenny truck. Pretty corny name if you ask me, but hey, it is what it is. That truck came out, did a backflip, landed it barely, and then continued on to do sort of a half freestyle as all the fireworks were going off, which was a really cool way to end the event. And if you would like to watch the full show, you can go ahead and check out this video by my good friend. He did a great job shooting the entire thing and did an excellent job sort of capturing the atmosphere of the whole show. I do recommend watching that if you actually want to see how the show played out from start to end, because I'm just sort of giving you highlights here. He's the guy to go watch if you want to see the full show. So that video, link in the description. This show is an interesting one to rank, because it was a historic moment for the industry. Hot Wheels had never done a stadium show in the United States before. This was their first domestic stadium show. So that on its own was a massive milestone, and because of that, I don't really think any of us had any expectations going into it. When you go to a Monster Jam event these days, because of how mainstream that tour is and how well known it is in the motorsports industry, you do have an expectation going into it, just because of the level that they are able to compete at consistently every weekend. But for this event, we did not have an expectation of any kind, because we didn't know what to expect. None of us had really seen any of the footage from the stadium shows they did in New Zealand. We kind of expected that it would be similar to that, and I think we were pleasantly surprised. I do think that this Boise show was way better than the shows that they put on in New Zealand, based off of some of the footage that I did see. But there's sort of this whole debate going on throughout the community about whether or not this show is a legitimate competitor to a typical Monster Jam stadium event. And that is a tough argument to pick a side on. Because on one hand, yes, this show was really good. It was really entertaining. There were a lot of commendable moments. I thought the way that it was structured worked really well. I thought all of the side acts were super cool. I thought freestyle was really entertaining, and there were a lot of elements included that you just don't see at Monster Jam events anymore, such as the inclusion of so many crush cars, the RV, all of the pyrotechnics, all that fun stuff. But I think in terms of the on-track action, from the trucks themselves, which ultimately is what you go to a monster truck show for, Monster Jam is still miles ahead of this show. Most of the trucks did not get a whole lot of air, and when they did, they only did it once. Whereas at a Monster Jam event, the drivers are regularly getting 10, 15 feet of air multiple times during a single freestyle run. And of course, this show had only one backflip, which was done as a sort of encore stunt type thing, whereas a Monster Jam event, especially a stadium one, is going to have multiple backflips throughout the freestyle competition. So, I think pound for pound, a Monster Jam event still has way better action than this. But that's okay, because I do think that this Hot Wheels event made up for that in a lot of other areas. That being simply the other show elements, the side acts that I talked about, the inclusion of all the crush cars, the RV, which was super cool, the use of pyrotechnics. I would say that the entertainment value between the two shows was the same. I think the entertainment value between this stadium event and a typical Monster Jam stadium event is about the same, for that reason. So, if my conclusion to this whole thing is so neutral, why did I title this video, Monster Jam Has Serious Competition? Well, because this is the first time in, 15 years, I think, that a different monster truck tour put on a stadium show in the United States. Not only did they put on a stadium show in the United States, but they sold it out. 30,000 plus people showed up to this event, and it sold out. That has never happened, as far as I know. At least not anytime recently. And so I think Hot Wheels really proved that, hey, we can put on a show that is completely different from what Monster Jam does, is way less risky because the trucks aren't going as hard, and we can still sell it out. That is a fact that I think is going to grab a lot of attention from a lot of other venues that have previously been hesitant to host Monster Jam because they're worried about venue damage or whatever else. So that alone, I think, is a huge positive for the Hot Wheels Tour. And also, it's just another opportunity for independent teams. In case you weren't aware, independent monster truck teams, they have to do everything pretty much. They have to fund their own trucks, fix broken parts themselves, they have to drive to shows themselves, and they still have to run hard enough to then get booked again. It's a very hard life compared to a driver who is working under direct contract with Feld. They don't have to worry about any of that. They just show up to the event, drive the truck, and then they have a team of crew guys who work on the truck for them. And they, of course, have the financial backing of Feld Entertainment, which is able to supply all of the spare parts that they could ever want, so they can drive as hard as they want to and not have to worry about it. And so if you're an independent running in Monster Jam, you still have to put on a good show. You still have to try and run at the same level as a lot of the company drivers do in order to remain competitive, to get invited back to future Monster Jam events, or even get a shot at the Monster Jam World Finals if you so desire that. And the simple fact is, a lot of independent teams, a lot of independent drivers are not interested in running their trucks that hard. So now they have a really nice alternative to doing these big stadium events without needing to drive the wheels off of their trucks, and I think that's a really good thing for the industry. So if Hot Wheels continues to do stadium events like this one, especially here in the United States, Monster Jam does have serious competition from a market share standpoint, not from a quality of product standpoint, because again, I think the on-track action at a Monster Jam event is still miles ahead of what we got at this Hot Wheels show. But when you consider some of the basics of how this industry works, and the mentality that some venues and some independent drivers have, I do think that continuing to do events like this one is going to create some genuine competition for Monster Jam, because they are no longer going to have the same kind of monopoly on the sport that they do, now that there is a different kind of opportunity for drivers and venues to turn to. But we will see how that develops moving forward. I'm sure Hot Wheels is going to want to capitalize on this as best as they can, but, you know, only time will tell if this actually turns into anything. I think the show was great, and I would totally go to another Hot Wheels Stadium event. Absolutely 100%. I think it was a lot of fun, super entertaining, and it's definitely worth your time and money if you're interested in attending one. So yeah, that was my review of this event, but please do let me know what you thought of it in the comments. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, whether you agree with me, disagree, or if there's something about it you noticed that I didn't say in this video. And in any case, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon.
Yeah. Hold on. I got it. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, Aiden. This one's for you, buddy.
What? What did I miss? What did I miss?
I got it on video, Jack. You're so funny.
Zen's dying. Zen's dead.
You're so good. Dude, that was awesome. Take my phone and watch.
A gentleman named Bono.
Yep.
It's our buddy Boner.
So this guy Boner says, dude Bono apparently came immediately back around like a shark smelling chum in the water and hung around in these waters closely after I'm just like trying to waste someone time at work, you know, and
I've all been paid by the
now
hour.
I would like you to take over about Bono because you saw it. I'm just so like women blank that it's not even. Tell me about
What, so
Bono's
after
enjoyment.
Bono swung around? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
So Bono swung around.